Hey guys, sorry I can't be there going over this in person or able to answer your questions because I'm sure you're going to have some, but today I'm going to talk about the first activity, the activity that I assigned you for Wednesday, September 16th. So here we go. These are pages straight from this book. This is the book that you would have gotten a message about picking up at the school a few weeks ago. So this is the actual book. The first workbook we sent out was a testing booklet, not this one. Uh, if you don't have it, that's fine. There's a digital copy or digital versions of the pages we're going to be doing, but it would be helpful to have the book so you can write directly in it. It's your book. You can write in it, tear the pages out, however you want to do it. I'll be looking to see these pages when I come back, but for now, let's go ahead and get started. So on Wednesday, your assignment was to do page 267 and 268. So that's the front and back of this page, and its area of polygons. So the prerequisite for this is you're going to want to already have an idea of how to multiply fractions. Now this is a calculator active unit, so you can use a calculator to help you, but the general rule when you multiply a fraction is you multiply the numerators together and the denominators together. So this example that we're going to be working from says Ben has a piece of plywood that measures 1 yard on each side. He cuts the wood into 6 equal pieces. Each piece is 1/3 of a yard wide and half a yard long. What is the area of each piece that Ben cuts? And here we have the one piece of wood that was cut into 6 equal parts. You can use the model to help you understand the problem. Start by drawing a square that is 1 yard on each side and then divide it as described in the problem. Use your model to solve the problem. So here's our model, and they already drew the lines for us, demonstrating that it is 1 yard by 1 yard. But it then tells us to find the area of one piece of wood. So what they did was they took this 1 yard and they divided it by 2. Well, if I took 1 and divided it by 2, I will get 1/2. Same thing with this section where I took 1 yard and divided it into 3 sections. 1 yard divided by 3 is 1/3. Now, to find the area of any parallelogram, a rectangle is a parallelogram, our area is going to be base times height. So the base of this rectangle would be half a yard and the height would be 1/3. So that's exactly what they did here. They did 1/2 times 1/3 to get 1/6. The area of each piece of plywood is 1/6 of a square yard. And at this point, I would ask you to pause the video and work on a few of these problems yourself and then unpause the video so that way I can go over it with you. If you're really struggling, you can go ahead and watch this video straight through with me and work on this as you go. Keep in mind though, the very last page is not one that I'm going to give you all the answers to. So this first problem, it says explain how 1/2 times 1/3 relates to the model. My explanation for this, explain how this relates to the model, I would say the base of each rectangle. I would just kind of describe why I did that. The base of each rectangle was half a yard. The height was 1/3 of a yard. And the area of a rectangle is base times height. That would be my explanation. Your explanation could be something a little bit different, but that's kind of what I was going for. That said, there are a lot of different answers you could put for this, and we can talk about that on Monday. Number 2 says, how many pieces do you need to cover half of a square yard? Well, that's a good question. One piece was 1/6 of a yard. So how many 1/6 do I need to get 1/2? Will 2 be enough? Well, let's see. If I take 1/6 plus 1/6, that gives me 2/6, which is simplified down to 1/3. So this is not big enough. 2/6 is not big enough. Let's try 3. If I have 3/6, that simplifies down to 1/2. So how many sixths pieces of wood do I need in order to make half a square yard? The answer is we need 3. We need 3 pieces. That will give us 3/6 for our area, which simplifies to 1/2. The third problem says, suppose Ben cuts pieces that are 1/3 of a yard wide, but the area of each piece is 1/2 of a square yard. What would be the length of each piece, and how do you know? So for this problem, it says our area is going to be 1/12. So we know 1/12 is going to be equal to 1/3 times something. We don't know what it's going to be. So for this problem, we can use a little bit of trickery with algebra. In algebra, what we would do is we would do the opposite of whatever is happening to our unknown. Right now, that 1/3 is multiplying my unknown. So I will instead cross it out, and I will do the opposite on this side. I will divide 1/12 by 1/3. Now, if you were to punch that into your calculator, you should end up with 1/4. And we can go into how to divide fractions, but that is a whole other unit. Suffice to say that for this unit, you can and should be using a calculator, because I'm more concerned if you are able to figure out what you need to do for area. I'm not as concerned with your ability to multiply and divide fractions with this. So if you do 1/12 divided by 1/3, you will get 1/4. And you can test this out too. You can do what is 1/3 times 1/4, and you can test it. If it equals 1/12, then it works. And if you tried it out, 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 4 is 12, so that does check out. So what is the length of each piece of wood? We have 1/4 of a yard. And I will just say, please see attached work. In my book, if you have done a problem and written out your work and your process, then you do not owe me an explanation. A visual representation of what you did to get your answer will work in my book. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other page. Again, I would like you to pause the video here and try to do this page on your own before continuing on, but I am going to go ahead and continue. You can pause the video if you wish. So it says, use this situation for problems 4 through 5. Isabel has a sticker that is 2/3 of an inch wide and 1/4 of an inch long. So shade and label the area model to represent the area of a sticker. Well, it's going to be 2/3 of an inch wide. So here are my thirds, so it's 2/3 of an inch wide. Okay, but it's only 1/4 of an inch long. So yeah, that's only one quarter out of these 4. So this would be what I would shade in. Just like that. What is the area of the sticker? Well, okay. The area of this sticker, we have our length, which is going to be 1/4. And we have our width right here, and that's going to be 2/3. So we've gone ahead and sketched that out. We're going to do base times height. Now multiplying fractions, we just multiply straight across. 1 times 2 is 2. 4 times 3 is 12. But I can simplify this. 2 and 12 are both even numbers, so I can divide both the top and the bottom number by 2. And that's going to give me my final answer as 1/6. And these were in inches, so this is 1/6 inches squared. For number 6, it says find the missing numbers to make the equation true. Then divide and shade the model to check your answer. So we have 1/5 times something is equal to 1/10. So we can kind of see like, oh, okay, well, 1 times something is going to equal 1. That's going to be 1. And we can see 5 times something will equal 10. Well, that something has to be 2. Now, how are we going to represent this is the issue. We can represent this by saying, okay, so it's 1/5. So only 1/5, that would be this far, but it's going to be 1 full half. So what we are going to do, we're going to take this 1/5, that whole section, but we're only going to shade in half of it. And that's going to look something more like this, where we've only shaded half of 1/5. This whole entire thing from top to bottom is 1/5, each piece. But we're only going to shade in half of one of those fifths. For number 7, it says a student uses this model to represent the product of 2 fractions. What are 2 possible fractions that the student could have been using to multiply? Find the product of those 2 fractions and shade the model to represent the product. Well, it looks like he cut this piece into 4 sections. So these are going to be fourths. So it's something out of 4. And for this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he has 6 sections. So it's going to be something out of 6. You can decide what fraction you want to use. There really is no wrong answer. You could do 1/6 and 1/4. You could do 2/6 and 3/4. You can do 4/6 and 1/4. There's an endless combination that you could use. I'm just going to do, we will say 2/4 and 1/6. That would look like this. Or 3/4 and 1/6. Why not? So this is 3/4 by 1/6. But you can do this in any number of combinations. There is really no wrong answer for number 7, as long as you gave it your best shot. And that's all that you had to do for today, Wednesday, September 16th. Don't push yourself too hard. This assignment is meant to take a little bit of time on top of the warm-up, so don't run late to your next class, and we'll check over this and talk about any questions you have when I get back. Bye.